4 Silverliner V commuter rail cars, the first passenger rail cars ever owned by the state of Delaware. Yes. This is big time, people. This is big time. The 4 Delaware rail cars are a result of a 2009 grant from the Recovery and Reinvestment Act, or ARRA, and we thank the support of our partners at the Federal Transit Administration for their support. I want to thank them. And Mr. Reggie Lovelace from District 3 Regional Area 3 is here today, and I want to again thank him for being here and helping us with this program. This investment will enable SEPTA to add and improve regional rail services to and from Delaware. SEPTA's General Manager, Joe Casey, is present today to announce service improvements next month that will offer more convenience to our riders. With additional infrastructure improvements on Amtrak's Northeast Corridor south of Wilmington, DTC will be able to add more frequent SEPTA frequencies between Wilmington and Newark. DelDOT Secretary Shaylin Batt and I are fully committed to expansion of commuter and intercity passenger rail services in Delaware. The SEPTA service in Delaware transported 1.2 million trips in fiscal year 2011, or 4,300 weekday trips. This represents a 10-year increase of almost 75%. We're delighted to celebrate the resounding success of SEPTA's service in Delaware with our honored guests today. And I'd like to acknowledge the attendance of some of our guests today. And they are State Senator Harris McDowell, if you could raise your hand. Thank you for being here. State Representative Earl Jacks, could you please raise your hand? Thank you. County Executive Paul Clark. Well, we would simply not be standing here if it weren't for the support of our leadership here in Delaware. So I'd like to bring the first speaker to the stage, Congressman Carney. Please take your seat.
Thank you, Lauren. That was a curveball for those of you who wonder why she hesitated for a minute. Usually, as has been the case in the last 4 weeks, we've been spending the congressional delegation every day together this week. You may have seen in the paper and the media the coverage over the national park. We had a tremendous public hearing on our national park. We were all there together. Yesterday, we were at Winterthur to celebrate a great energy efficiency grant that Winterthur received. Earlier in the week, we were also at the Port of Wilmington, riding on the tugboat, looking at the channel deepening project. And normally, when we have and share our remarks, we go in seniority. And so our senior Senator Tom Carper will start off the proceedings and say what he has to say, and followed by our wonderful junior Senator, Senator Coons. And then I'm always bringing up the rear. Senator Carper came in this morning and said, let's change this up a little bit. Congressman Carney, why don't you go first? So the remarks that I have prepared were to say that Senator Carper and Senator Coons have covered really all the high points. So what I'd just like to say is simply this. Since I haven't had enough time to change those remarks, let me just say what I had intended to say, which really is a simple message. This today is really all about jobs. It's all about the Recovery Act that Senator Carper helped put together and pass in the Congress that made the federal funds available to make these cars. It's about the people who commute from here to Philadelphia and from here to Baltimore and Washington and other places that will use these SEPTA rail cars. It's about this employment center surrounding the train station that needs the commuter system to bring employees to and from these work sites. In fact, we spend all of our time, Senator Carper, Senator Coons, focusing on, and our Governor Markell is not here, ably represented by Lauren and others at the Transportation Agency. We spend most of our time focusing on creating conditions where businesses can create jobs and be successful. One of the things that I hear most, that we hear most from employers is they don't have people with the skills for the high technology jobs that they have. I just returned from a trip to the West Coast, and the #1 issue for for the firms that I visited, Google, Yahoo, Intel, was that we need employees with those high technology skills. Well, those folks, some of them live here and most don't. They decide they can live wherever they want. They can get a job wherever they want. We have employers here in our state, right around this train station, who need those employees. Guess what? They're in Baltimore, they're in Philadelphia, they're in New York, they're in Washington, D.C. One way that they get, the best way that they can get here to work for our employers is by commuter rail transportation. And so this press conference today, where we unveil these beautiful state-owned SEPTA rail cars, is really just amazing. It wasn't always this way. 30 years ago, when I was working as a football coach at the University of Pennsylvania and living part-time with my parents in Claymont, there was no SEPTA commuter rail service. I see Senator House McDowell shaking his head, that came to Claymont and further south, because we had eliminated our commuter rail service to Delaware. Thanks to Senator McDowell and task force which he chaired, the state came together and funded SEPTA to the point where they could bring that service back to Claymont, back to Wilmington, and we've just grown since then. Today is a big day for jobs in our state. It's a big day for employers in our state and for commuters as well. And so with that, finally, I have an opportunity this week to introduce another member of our congressional delegation. And it would be Senator Coons. Senator Coons, as you know, took over just 2 years ago as our junior senator. And he has hit the ground running in the United States Senate, working tirelessly to support issues that are important to Delaware, to reach across the aisle, work with Democrats and Republicans, to create conditions where businesses can be successful. He's had pieces of legislation that would encourage technology and innovation. He is a tremendous leader and a tremendous spokesman for our state, and it's a great pleasure for me to introduce Senator Chris Coons.
John, thanks for a chance to be with all of you in this exciting announcement of the new SEPTA Silverliner car. This is a great opportunity for us to celebrate what we do best together, as a community, as a state, as a region, and as a country. And I'm thrilled to be joining Lauren and Stephen Gardner and Joe Casey from Amtrak and SEPTA, as well as, of course, our terrific Congressman John Carney and my senior Senator Tom Carper. This is an opportunity for us to just reflect for a moment and celebrate what it is that we can do best as a country when we invest in infrastructure, when we invest in American jobs, when we invest in making our communities able to connect to each other in swifter, more reliable, more comfortable, more reasonable, more affordable ways. I'm pleased with how many folks have come out here today. In fact, Paul Clark, our county executive, was just recognized earlier. We're going from here to an announcement at the County Public Safety Building of the burned jack grants, which is another example, I think, of a great use of federal dollars in a catalytic way to lead improvement in public safety all across our state, between communities, counties, cities, and our federal government. There's lots of good things that we can and should focus on that we're doing here in partnership between the federal government and local governments. I also saw my old friend Mickey Anone on the way in. I just want to give a shout out to everybody who are our brothers and sisters in organized labor. One of the things that's overlooked at times is that SEPTA is unionized, that a lot of the organizations that service and support Amtrak and its train sets here in Wilmington and in Bear are also represented. And I'm grateful that Mickey and so many other friends I see from the labor force are here today. This is just for train cars. So why the big deal? To me, it's a big deal because these cars will serve a very wide population of people, from riders who are commuting from Wilmington to Philadelphia, from Philadelphia to Wilmington, and then all up and down this SEPTA line. You heard Congressman Carney talk about the potential for commuting out of Claymont, a station which is steadily growing in ridership. This station is steadily growing in ridership. All three of us depend on this station and depend on Amtrak, frankly, far more than you might even imagine. Some of the most critical moments of our lives, interactions with family, friends, and constituents, are happening on Amtrak trains. They could be happening on SEPTA trains. And frankly, with this new world-class Silverliner service, they would be happening in cars that are world-class, that are comfortable, that are safe, that are efficient. When we invest in these kinds of partnerships between the federal and state government, we invest in building a competitive, global, modern economy. Our competitors are investing in infrastructure and in particular in transit at far higher rates than we are. I think it is a national scandal that we have rail and roads and bridges and ports that are fading in their quality and in their modernization at the rate that they are. There is nothing smarter that we can do to help create and sustain economic growth, high-quality American manufacturing jobs, to speed the movement of goods and services, people, products, and ideas, that continue to invest in our infrastructure. And Senator Carper and Congressman Carney and I have worked hard in the Congress to find new and innovative ways to invest in infrastructure and to strengthen the work that's being done all throughout this region. When we invest in American manufacturing jobs, we invest in a strong middle class. When we invest in a high-quality infrastructure, we invest in a cleaner environment and a stronger economy. When we invest in vehicles like this, we invest in the future, and we send a strong signal that we believe in our state, in our region, and our country. Let me leave a number of things that I think need to be said to my senior senator who has such a strong record of weaving together communities. In his service of 8 years as our governor, Senator Carper, who I think really is still a recovering governor anyway, had a vision for the riverfront. I just had a chance yesterday to have lunch with a childhood friend who grew up here in Hocus with me, but hadn't been to the riverfront in years. He suggested we have lunch at Kahunaville. And as we sat down to lunch at Joe's Crab Shack, he looked at me, he was a few minutes late uncharacteristically, and he said, I had trouble finding my way here. And I said, why? He said, there's all these great big new buildings. All these folks working here, all these folks living here, and all these new ranks. So after lunch, we had to walk up and down, and I pointed out all these different new things to his wife and kids. He now lives in New York. And he was blown away as someone who grew up with what has happened to what was a long abandoned, polluted, obscure part of this great city that over the last decades has been fundamentally changed and revitalized. This train station is an anchor of a whole district, of a whole area, and one of the really unsung heroes who deserves the credit for the vision, for the investment, for the persistence, and for the delivery on an integrated multimodal vision for transit, for development, and for community is my senior senator, Tom Carper, a man whose tireless service in support of this community has made for a better life for thousands and thousands of us. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Senator Tom Carper.
Don, I just said to Chris, after that introduction, he shook his hand and I walked over and I said, Chris, I want to go last more often. So you can introduce me. I could have been having an awful day, and after an introduction like that, it's great. I mean, this is a morning side of the mountain, folks. This is a great day. And we welcome all of you. Thank you, Chris. It's just a joy to serve with Chris Coons and with John Carney. And the work that Chris talked about here on the riverfront for many years in an abandoned industrial wasteland down here. A lot of people, former Governor Peterson, as some of you will recall, and legislators like Senator Harris McDowell, secretaries of finance like John Carney. A lot of people said, you know, we're going to change this place, and it's been an amazing transformation for everybody that's been a part of it. So we thank you. In the beginning, there was a train station, and today there's a train station, Biden Station. And it's bigger and beautiful than ever, and anchors a riverfront that's only going to get better as time goes by. It's a real treat for me to be able to welcome Stephen Gardner here. Put your hands together for Stephen Gardner, please. Well, most of you don't know this, but one of the things people sometimes say to me, why have you had any success in your life? And I say a couple of reasons. One, I picked the right parents. I had good values, they instilled them in my sister and me. Another thing is, I really always surround myself by people smarter than me. My wife said, it's not hard to find them. And Stephen Gardner is one of them. Ronnie was another one, and Katie Wilson's here today. And Devin Parkin's here. But when I was a new senator, and when I got on the Environment and Public Works Committee, part of that is transportation. And something I've always been interested in, certainly been interested in trains, Used to serve on the Amtrak board when Bill Clinton was president, appointed me to serve. But Stephen was the person who came to work in our office in Washington to help me on our transportation issues, and a lot of others. And it's just a joy. And so today, he's, listen to this, Stephen Gardner, who used to be my legislative aide for transportation issues and so forth, is now Amtrak's vice president for the Northeast Corridor Infrastructure and Investment Development. How about that, Stephen Gardner? Rises to the top. Well, it's great to be here with all of you. I just want to add a few comments if I read. First is like a quiz. What do all these things have in common? What do all these things have in common? We'll start at the southern end of the state, the Rehoboth Boardwalk. There's a boardwalk also, I think, coming up the state around Bombay Hook, but there's a boardwalk in Rehoboth that, how many have ever walked on that boardwalk? Okay, the convention center, energy improvement, I don't know if you've ever been to the convention center of Rehoboth, but Millsboro wastewater treatment plants, there's I can go back 10 years ago, there was about 13 sources of pollution from wastewater treatment plants that dumped into the inland bay or the ocean. Today we're down to 3. One of those is going to be eliminated, and that's the Millsboro wastewater treatment plant. Dover Air Force Base, huge improvements in Dover Air Force Base, big investments in Dover Air Force Base, especially on the energy side. Smyrna Clean Water Projects, there's a great, just north of Smyrna, there's a great park and ride. You know, coming down State Route 1, you get off to Middletown, Odessa, Townsend. It's a great park and ride there that helps serve that part of our state. Easy Pass. How many of you have ever gone through highway speed Easy Pass on 995? And have you noticed that you don't have any, we don't have any waits anymore? You don't have to sit there for 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes to get through going north or going south. Even on July 4th and coming up on Labor Day weekend because of highway speed Easy Pass. And today, these four rail cars for SEPTA for us, and they have one thing in common. Well, several things in common. One, they're all funded by the Stimulus Act. They are all funded. People say to me, including some people down in Tampa today, think that we wasted all that money. And the stimulus package, we didn't waste $140 million in Delaware. We put it to good use. We put it to good use to put people to work on those projects. We also put it to good use because people don't sit waiting for seemingly like hours and days on I-95 to get through our state anymore. Down at the VA hospital up here, enormous improvements in the VA hospital. At the Dover Air Force Base, all the way down to the boardwalk in Rehoboth, and today with these rail cars. If you go back, John and Chris heard me say this before. If you go back to the last 6 months of 2008, we lost in this country 2.5 million jobs. 2.5 million. The first 6 months of 2009, we lost in this country another 2.5 million jobs. It's 5 million jobs we lost in 12 months. The week that Barack Obama and Joe Biden were inaugurated as president and vice president, 638,000 people signed up for unemployment insurance. That week alone, 638,000. We just got, Katie just gave me the unemployment insurance filings for last week. It just came out this morning. It's not 638,000. It's not 538,000. It's not 438,000. It's 375,000. Anytime that number is under 400,000, we're adding net jobs in this country. We've added about 4.5 million in the last 24 months or so. Is that enough? No. That's not enough. We're adding manufacturing jobs, all kinds of jobs. We can do better, but we need to do better. And one of the ways that we're going to do better, as John has said and Chris has said, is to make sure that we make smart investment in infrastructure, roads, highways, bridges, airports like the Georgetown Airport, ports like the port of Wilmington, make these in the Northeast corridor as well. We are making those investments. We're investing in our workforce to raise the working skills, the skills of our folks who need jobs, who are looking for jobs. We're making it easier with this kind of investment to make it possible for people who don't have a lot of money to take a train, take SEPTA, passenger commuter rail to get where they need to go and further for jobs. You know, to buy a car, to pay for the parking, the gas, you want to work in Newark, you're up in Pennsylvania, or vice versa. It's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money when you take SEPTA. And we're going to help make this trip possible for a whole lot more people. I want you to put your hands together for Harris McDowell, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Harris. And I was talking before the program started, he was mentioning a former Secretary of Transportation and other administration who I think said that guy was not a big proponent of restoring transit rail service here in the northern part of our state. I think he said that we might get 100 people a day to ride a train, something like that. Well, the last time I checked, it wasn't 100 people a day, it wasn't 1,100 people a day, it wasn't 2,100 people, but 3,100 people. It's like 4,400 people a day who ride the train. 4,400 So for all the people that aren't going to be sitting in traffic on I-95, someplace up the northeast corner because of these investments, for all the people, there's all the gas that we're not going to be wasting, for the amount of reduction in our dependence on foreign oil, for the cleaner air that we're all going to be breathing on, not just on a day like today, but on other days as well. These investments and these funds have helped make it possible. There's one other person who's not here today, a former senator for our state. And I want to mention his name and just to say a big thank you to him. And his name is Ted Kaufman. Ted Kaufman. And Ted Kaufman, who was our senator, succeeded Joe for 2 years before Chris came in and was elected and assumed the spot the full time. Ted was our senator for 2 years. He joined me in a real hard fight, hard struggle fight, to fund the stimulus package, to raise the money to make sure these kinds of funds would be available. Let's put our hands together for Ted. Thank you. And last thank you. The way we fund the programs at the federal level, as many of you know, is first we have to authorize the funding, and then we have to come back and appropriate the funding. It's a two-step process. It's all well and good if we have money that we want to appropriate, but if it's not been authorized, we can't do it. It doesn't work the other way either. A gal who succeeded Stephen over here, her name was Beth Osborne. She's about half as tall as Stephen, but just as smart and just a whirlwind of energy. And about 6 years ago, she worked with me to help authorize this project for which the stimulus funds have now been appropriated. And we're going to go out there and we're going to have a great time riding the rails throughout the state of Delaware and Delaware Valley. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, I want to just take a moment again and thank the leadership to my right and all the leadership in Delaware who has made today possible. We are extremely fortunate in this state to have people that are innovative and forward-thinking to provide transportation options for the citizens of Delaware. So please, help me take them.
We love working together. Chris and John, I love working together. The other guy we love working with is Jack Markell. We could not ask for that. Paul we could not ask for a better partner in the governance of our state than our government. She works for him, but they work for all of us. But a big shout out for Jack. Thank you.
Commuter rail program is made possible by the contributions of many, and we salute our SEPTA partners for their service and willingness to engage in the expansion of Wilmington-Newark line. This takes real collaboration for things like today to happen. Last week, SEPTA was named the best large transit system in North America by the American Public Transportation Association. And I want you to welcome with me General Manager of the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, Mr. Joe Casey. Joe.
Thank you, Lauren. It's a great honor to be here at this event and to be with so many transit friends and supporters. I want to congratulate DPC for the purchase of the 4 state-of-the-art 2012 Silverliner V cars. These are a welcome addition to the SEPTA regional rail fleet. These trains offer the latest customer comfort and amenities, operating performance, and environmental efficiency. I'm also pleased to announce that starting September 9th, SEPTA will be improving service on the Wilmington-Newark Regional Rail Line, thanks in part to the delivery of these new cars. The state of Delaware represents a strong and growing customer market. We hope that these cars, along with the enhanced AM and PM express trips and extended evening service for Delaware residents, will attract new riders to the SEPTA system. These cars are being assembled locally in Philadelphia. By United Transit Systems, a consortium consisting of Hyundai Rotem USA and Southeastern Corporation of America. It's a great pleasure to recognize Dr. Song-Wee Cho, President of Hyundai Rotem USA, and Hatz Kagiyama, Vice President of Southeastern Corporation of America, who are joining us this morning. Gentlemen, thank you for delivering a beautiful product. We really love these cars. Thank you very much.
Well, Delaware Transit Corporation and Del Dot are grateful to Amtrak for their support in making our commuter rail service successful. We're honored here today to have a longtime friend of Delaware, Mr. Stephen Gardner, Amtrak's Vice President for the Northeast Corridor Infrastructure and Investment Development, and he's going to come up and say a few words. Stephen?
Thank you, Lauren, and let me start by just congratulating the DTC in Delaware, Secretary Biden, and Ken Potts, who has been just an absolute steadfast First off, to congratulate Joe and SEPTA and the incredible Delaware congressional delegation led by Senator Carper, my lucky to say former boss. I wasn't lucky enough to be born here in the first state, but my blood did turn a little extra shade of blue my time here, and it's a huge privilege and honor to speak to you today on behalf of Amtrak and our President and CEO, Joe Boardman. I just wanted to say that these 4 cars represent not just 4 new pieces of equipment. They represent really a cooperative vision and effort to recapitalize and improve the Northeast Corridor. In addition to these cars, SEPTA has been replacing the vast majority of their fleet with new equipment. A cooperative project between the state and Amtrak will expand traffic south of here to permit improved service to Newark. This station is a result of cooperative effort between the state, federal government, and Amtrak to rebuild and bring to life and bring better and greater capacity to these incredible assets. The Northeast Corridor, which was inherited by Amtrak in 1976, today is running twice as many trains as it did then. Looking ahead, what do we expect? Well, we expect a region that today accounts for 20% of the GDP, roughly 50 million people, on 2% of the landmass, to grow by another, say, 15 million people in the next 20 to 25 years. How are we going to move those folks? Well, this group today knows how those people are going to move in the future. They're going to move by rail. They're going to move by commuter rail. They're going to move by interstate rail. We are working together to build a network, not aimed just to provide service for today, but to grow for the growing needs of this economy and this region and for this nation. So I want to congratulate Delaware and SEPTA with the procurement and delivery of these new cars. We look forward to working together with the state, with all the operators here, to continue the march for improved passenger rail service in this region and across the country. Thank you.
I wanted to end the program today before we go up and see these beautiful new cars with a very special message. I've been here almost 5 months, and I have come to know the DTC team as one of the most talented and dedicated teams I've ever been involved with. These folks are committed to providing public transportation and transportation options to the citizens of Delaware, and I want you all to join me in giving them a big hand. Thank you very much. Way out the door to the left, up the stairs to the platform, and we will get a look at these cars up close and personal. Thank you very much.
Everybody, these scissors must real. It says these scissors work. We're going to find out. And, Chris and John and I would like to use river drink by a countdown. So you can actually enjoy her in the countdown from 10 to 0. When you say 0, you cut yourself right there. Ready? Are you ready? Ready. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6,